Hey guys, Alex from 7th Hour Films back again with JoJo's Bizarre Adventure. Last time around we had Gravity of the New Moon, where as the gang was approaching the Kennedy Space Center, things started to get a little wacky with Gravity. Excuse me. Oh god. I'm good. Anyway. So yeah, Gravity basically took a 90-degree turn, basically. Basically all of them are being dragged away from the Kennedy Space Center. You know what I'm talking about. Anyway, so this is apparently a new stand of the priests of Poochie's, but I don't know, but it's cool. It's interesting, and it did show up. Hermes was kind of left behind, and Jolyne, Emporio, and Anastasia made it up to the Kennedy Space Center, and now the stand is there and is using Gravity to try to fight them. So, all in all, it's pretty cool. By the way, guess who has 2 thumbs and can't count for shit? This guy. Because I think I miscounted a little while ago on how many episodes we have left. We're in the final 5. This is the final 5 episodes of JoJo's Bizarre Adventure. So, that's pretty crazy. Now, granted, of course, eventually, in 10 years or so, they are going to be animating part 7. But, as I alluded to in the joke, it's a long time from now. So, I don't even know if that's on the horizon or not. So, but yeah, we have 5 episodes left of JoJo as we know it. Isn't that crazy? But yeah, we've got good stuff in store, I think. So why don't we just go ahead and jump right into it. Like always, the reaction is down in the description and the pinned comment for your viewing pleasure. I'm tired, so let's just go ahead and jump right into this episode of JoJo's Bizarre Adventure. Here we go.
Destiny is mine. 恐れしても全ての未来途切れぬより Should I friend of life?
It's an interesting thing because you could honestly say that the original plot of JoJo's Bizarre Adventure ends at part 3 because it's the ultimate defeat of Dio, And now, with this being sort of I know that this is sort of a quasi-finale to JoJo. I know that Part 7 kind of takes itself in a completely new direction, But it's interesting. I'm just so glad that this is as strong as it is, Because, I don't know, again, it's like, even though, yes, we have the promise now of we're going to have Jotaro at some point. I assume in the next 4 episodes, Jotaro is going to show up. But I'm glad that it's just as compelling having these new characters. Having Jolyne and Poochie, and not it's not a thing of and now Dio's back again, and it's like, okay. Somehow Dio returned. Maybe that's what I'm thinking of. Is that this isn't for a, I guess, sequel season to the everything that happened in part 1, part 2, part 3 with the whole Dio vampire storyline. Even though part 2 didn't focus on that, it focused on the Pillarmen mostly. I'm glad that this is as compelling as it is. This is such a good send-off, This shit's good. Man, Jolyne is such an interesting character. I know when we did the Sky Guy episode, I kind of went off, I was ranting and raving in that episode like a lunatic. But to be fair, I think some of what I said kind of still applies, but here I will say yes, Jolyne is smart, but there's something about the way she conducts herself in a fight, She is clever. She's very clever. She's also somehow she's the biggest brute, I feel like, you know? Even though most of Jotaro's solutions was just punch person, you know? Like, I don't know, there's something about the way Jolyne fights, and I can't describe it, and I can't describe it in a way that doesn't make it sound awful, you know? But there's just something about the way she does it which is kind of interesting, you know? Okay, I think one of the things is, you know, where every other Joestar is immensely clever about everything, you know? Like, they can look at 20,000 different things and figure something out in a unique way, and also in a way that only they can do, you know? Like if you had an object and put it in front of all the Joestars, every Joestar would have a different solution with that object, you know? And I think that's the difference with Jolyne, is Jolyne will look at that object and say, yes, I can do something with this. I can throw this at them and then I can punch them, you know? Like, that's kind of what I feel with Jolyne. But where Jolyne is immensely clever is with her stand, which is probably where you should be the most clever, is with your natural power base, you know? And you can honestly still say that about everyone's stand, you know? But I think it could also be that it's because her stand doesn't affect things, you know? Like, the last two protagonists we've had Josuke and we've had Giorno, and both of them, their power comes from affecting something else, you know? Josuke will restore something in a different shape in order to use it cleverly. Giorno will, you know, infuse it with life, you know, create some sort of living organism, a plant or an animal, and that will help him and that will work. But Jolyne doesn't really use objects because her stand can't affect them. But what she does use is her own body, you know? She does use her own body. That is the only object that she can affect, is herself, you know? And I think that's where most of her cleverness comes in. And then the rest of it is, she's gonna fucking punch someone, you know? So, and I like that. And I like that. I like it because just of how versatile Stone Free is, just with its rope, you know? Like, that is such an interesting thing. So I really enjoy that. Like, yeah, like, you know, like, I don't know where we're going in these last 4 episodes, but nothing has been established to where I would believe she would get a new power, you know? Because there's nothing there. Like last time, you know, 4 episodes left, we were balls deep into Requiem stuff, you know? So, and now granted, you know, well, again, around this time in part 4 is when, around this time in part 4 is when Kira bites the dust. Close to around this time is when Jotaro started using Star Platinum the World, you know? So there has been something, but I don't see anything, like no sort of ass pull or something for Jolyne. And I love going against a stand like this, like Sea Moon, which is a ridiculously powerful stand, you know? Like, none of this, like, oh, yes, there are these tiny insect skyfish things, and my stand can control them, and it will take away the heat in your body, which will cause all these things that... Like, no, this dude just messes with gravity. That's it. That's all he friggin' does, you know? That's all he does, is he messes with gravity and is ridiculous and powerful, you know? And I love that she is getting the better of that stand with her string, and that's it. She doesn't have, you know, crazy life creation or Golden Wind Requiem. She doesn't have restoration. She doesn't have time stop. She just has string, and she is still one-upping Poochie at every moment, you know? So I really enjoy that. So yeah, Sea Moon. Interesting stand here. This isn't even its final form, apparently. It's still evolving. So, okay, now the whole thing with the whole thing with the scene where, you know, he's at, like, the grocery store, was that scene supposed to take place between killing Weather and coming to Cape Canaveral? I feel like it should have, because, you know, he has that scene where he's, you know, losing it, and he says, you know, my stand is no longer Pale Snake, it's something different, you know? But then, the next time we see him, when he's with the Sons of Dio, and when he fights Weather, he's fine. Like, he doesn't have any problems, and he is still using Pale Snake. So, I think that was supposed to take place after the Weather fight, which is weird, you know? They just sort of put it in a different order for some reason. But yeah, so now, Pale Snake is gone completely. Now it's Sea Moon. But Sea Moon presumably will evolve into something else. So it's an interesting thing. Now it's also interesting that it is a remote controlled stand. Like, he can go the distance, but like, it's not an automatic stand, which is interesting. But it's also sort of like it's sort of a half and half. It's like, it's a stand that kind of goes on its own, and it does have a consciousness. I mean, we're so late in the game, I can't give two shits anymore, you know? Like, we already know my stance on conscious, you know, sentient stands and stuff. Whatever. There's no use griping about it anymore. So yeah. So that's fine. It is interesting, though, that it's a sentient stand, but it doesn't seem to be him, you know? Like, the voice doesn't sound like Poochie at all. So yeah, I don't know, but it's an interesting design. I guess it makes sense, though, because it's a combination, really. It's Pale Snake plus the green baby, you know? So, with like a furry head. Like, I kind of noticed his head is a little, like, furry. I don't know what that's about, but yeah, so it is something different, at least, so, and it is an evolved form, I guess, So yeah, but that was interesting. I like it, and I like that. Again, just watching that fight, just Jolyne, no wonder fire didn't affect her at all, because, man, the girl's pain tolerance is ridiculous, you know? But just, oh, God above, just thinking about her fingers inverting into her body, and then the muscle poking out and wiggling around. Just, I can't deal with that, man. It just, it looks so terrible. But yeah, but I mean, it's interesting. It's an interesting idea, but I love that she also figured it out, because I love the detail that Sea Moon is not that smart, you know? Whereas Sea Moon keeps trying to hit her, it honestly undoes all the work. Like, it only needs to hit you once in a vital area, you know? So yeah, so I like that, you know, she figured out immediately, wait, he hit me again, so I'm going back to normal, you know? She has to patch up the wounds, sure, but she's so used to that by now. Goodness. But then, Sea Moon did land a pretty terrible blow, and started to invert all of her, but then we get the text from Jotaro. Jolyne is still alive, but barely. She managed to outdo his gravity, which is crazy. Which, how the fuck does Jotaro know about the gravity? I don't know. I don't know, but that was cool. I mean, just to have, like, oh, Jotaro's good now, you know? He's been out all of part 6, you know? But now, he's good, he's on his way, and he can sense Jolyne, which is great. But yeah, but if he can sense that Jolyne is still alive, Poochie can too, because of the connection they have now. So yeah, so Poochie, but I love cutting to him running full force through the Kennedy Space Center, and just being like, how the fuck is she still alive? How did she do that? You know, he just gave this whole big speech about, like, oh, she was destined to help me achieve heaven. She's just one of the many sacrifices that aids me in my quest. Cut to fuck, this girl will not die. And I do kind of love that about Jolyne, you know? Like, she figured something out, and it's just great. Again, it's one of those things, like, she is really, really smart when it comes to her own stand. So, assuming that's how she did it, you know? Oh, boy. I mean, the only thing I can think... Because one thing is, like, when she got her leg caught, can she not just unravel her leg really quickly and then, you know, get through the grating, you know, get through the thing around her leg, pull it up, and all that thread pops back into her leg, you know? Like, you'd think she would be doing that way more often, but I don't know. But yeah, like, that's the only thing I can think is somehow she used Stone Free in order to counteract the gravity, but fuck knows how she did that, which is exactly what Poochie is thinking, you know? So yeah, so man, this is some good shit right here. This is some good shit, and I'm definitely excited for the last 4 episodes. We only got 4 episodes left, basically 1 more month of JoJo, and this is it. So, with all that being said, I'm Alex from 7th Hour Films, and I will see you guys next time. Take care. Alright guys, thanks for watching this video. There's a bunch of links on screen if you want to go click around any of those. There's a playlist with all of my JoJo's Bizarre Adventure reactions, as well as another video you can go click on if you want. There's also a subscribe button and a Patreon button on screen, as well as other links in the description if you want to go check out any of those. See you guys later.